Good morning, everybody. Welcome in to the morning meeting. Sean, Tim, and I are excited to have you here to romp through the day. It's Friday, and there's a lot going on. I'll run through the day book. We've got some videos to show you today. Sean and Tim will play Siskel and Ebert, but with truth, love, hope, grace, everything. We're going to run through some videos, including one that is direct from the dark arts. If you'd like to be involved in the conversation and you're here on the two-way platform, please raise your hand, whether you're on two-way or watching us on YouTube Live. Please, in the chat, peace, love, and understanding, not attacks. Boy, my inbox has been nuts the last 24 hours. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Like I said, we're going to show you some videos. We'll probably talk about Laura Loomer, which will make some of you extremely pleased and some of you quite less so. But let's run through the day book. Vice President Harris here on the East Coast today. I'm not sure what she's doing in the morning, but at 1 o'clock she leaves the White House, and at 4:20 Eastern time, she gets to the John Murtha Johnstown Cambria Airport. Then Wilkes-Barre and Scranton International Airport is where the pool goes. I don't know why that is. Anyway, her event's not until 6:35 Eastern time. Remarks in Pennsylvania, and then she goes back to Andrews. So one event for her, at least as of now, a rally in Pennsylvania this evening. Donald Trump is in LA to start the day. Noon Eastern time, press conference. Not sure he'll take questions at the press conference, but he's talking to the media. Not sure what the topic is supposed to be, but that bears no resemblance to what the topic necessarily will be. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Then he's going to a fundraiser. You can look in our Daybook newsletter and read about where that fundraiser is and who's hosting it in the Bay Area. And then a rally in Las Vegas on a Friday night at 11 Eastern time. So if he's aiming to influence people here in the East Coast, it ain't going to happen. Sean, why are you shaking your head? 10 Eastern time. Sorry. 10 Eastern. I apologize. It is 10 Eastern. So Donald Trump 10 Eastern rally. So news conference at noon Eastern, and then a rally in Vegas at 10 Eastern. Tim Walz is in Michigan, and then has a 4:45 event in Wausau, Wisconsin. I'm not sure what JD Vance is doing today, I confess, but he is doing 3 Sunday shows on Sunday. President Biden is meeting with the British PM today, and then going back to Delaware, which you can do now with impunity. All right, guys, lots to discuss, including looking at some videos. First, I just want to get your 30,000-foot view of the debate aftermath. What polling is out now is mixed. I talked to a lot of Democrats yesterday who said they don't expect the polls to change much. So where are you on, as we get battleground state polls and national polls for the next week? Tim, will Harris increase her lead? Will Trump increase his lead or go into the lead, or wash, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, I think from some of the national polls that we have seen come out, that looks to be a little bit of some movement, but I don't think that we're going to see a big bump. It's just not going to happen. It's such a small
seven tied races.
Seven tied races are within the margin of error. I think it's still within the margin. I don't think anyone's outside the margin.
Sean?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Now, is just yes, no, we'll just do this for posterity. Will Donald Trump take questions at his press conference? Sean?
Last week you sold me, but I feel like there's something different now. He's going to want to say something. So I feel like if the debate hadn't
Sean,
happened.
Yes or no? Is he going to take questions? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. And what will be the main topic of his opening remarks? What will be the main topic? Just make a guess. What do you think?
He won the debate.
He won the debate. All right. Tim, I bet you endorse both those positions.
I do. Yes. I mean, but I'm not going to say he's going to take questions. I said 5 last time. He did 0.
All right. So you say his main topic will be he won the debate, but no questions. Okay. Right. You're both wrong. He will take questions. Sean was right. His main topic will be, ready for this? I'm sure I'll be wrong. The Biden-Harris record on inflation, immigration, and the forever wars. That's going to be his main topic. We'll see if I'm right. All right. Sean, just give America your...
Since you got me thinking, because it's in Vegas, I can see him going to the no tax on tips. And
but that's not where the press conference is. The press conference is in LA.
Oh, that's right. And then he's going to
and he's going LA, then Northern California for a fundraiser at a relative of Gavin Newsom's wife's, and then to Vegas. Sean, just give America 25 seconds. Why would Donald Trump possibly be hanging out with Laura Loomer now? And why wouldn't the senior staff, who doesn't want her there, why wouldn't they put a stop to it? I'm trying to think what the analog, Tim, would be for Kamala Harris.
Because
there isn't one.
No, because I think that the senior staff isn't one blob right now. There are members of the senior staff that are sewing division / finding this amusing.
But given how bad it is from a PR point of view, I mean, every major newspaper story today has a story about how the voice of conscience of Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying this is a bridge too far. Just given the PR and given what it does to Trump's head, obviously, how could the senior staff not say it's us or her? Get her off the plane or we're gone. How could that not happen?
Well, they should, but I would say, as I said earlier, I think that there are elements within the senior staff that are sowing this, and this is the problem: is that this is what they're looking at this as a wedge, a cudgel to sort of put a us versus them in these final 50 days. I mean, this is nuts, but I think this is the kind of crap that goes on.
Yeah. All right. Those of you who are watching the morning meeting are getting cutting edge insights into things that Sean and I can't say everything we know about, but watch this space. Seniors, Trump staff space. Watch that. All right. Siskel and Ebert, here we go. The new Harris ad on the back half. You'll tell us what you think.
There are two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past.
We're a failing nation, a nation that is dying. We're a nation that's in serious decline.
What I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do. We all have so much more.
She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan.
Her policies on our website are copied and pasted right from Joe Biden's website. They're not even.
There are two very different visions for our country. One
to make campaign ads we'll talk about. But Sean, thumbs up, thumbs down. What'd you think of it?
So I think I've been fairly complimentary of the Harris ads in the past. My track record is this one I think missed the mark. I think she is misreading the audience. Trump is actually talking about the problems, like she's highlighting the fact that he's saying we're going in the wrong direction. That taps into current sentiment. And I think this turn the page thing doesn't, she's missing where she could have been strong. I give it a thumbs down.
All right, Tim.
I think at its base, it is new versus old. And we know that is a debate that she has to win. And so I give it a thumbs up. Whether or not the music or whatever is the best also puts them on the debate stage right next to each other. He looks old. She looks young and new. Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense.
When I was a kid, sometimes when people made debate agreements, they said you couldn't use debate footage in ads, but obviously they didn't have such an agreement. I kind of split the difference. I continue to believe that the debate was a massive success for her. Her performance was great. Trump's was epically bad. I think with the base and for fundraising, it's fantastic, and this ad will help. I'm just still not convinced that undecided voters, who are the main target here, they want specificity. And to me, that's just all vagaries. There's no policy plan. It's all vibes. So I think it's a good ad for certain purposes and maybe not for the ultimate purpose, but we shall see. All right. This Trump video is not an ad. And amongst other things, it's not 30 seconds long, but I want to know what you guys think of it in terms of just messaging. Tim, you'll go first. Let's please play the Trump video.
She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan. She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan.
Her policies on our website are copied and pasted right from Joe Biden's website. They're not even hers.
Bidenomics is working.
Bidenomics is working.
We have the strongest economy in the world.
Our economy is the strongest in the world.
My Build Back Better framework.
Our Build Back Better framework.
To a steady and stable growth.
Stable and steady growth.
We've come so far since my inauguration.
Our country has come a long way since President Biden and I took office.
Nothing says her vision like copy and paste from the boss, does it? Right? I mean, come on.
Applaud the man or woman who edited that. Excellent PA work, finding all the clips that match pretty perfectly. Tim, thumbs up, thumbs down as messaging.
It feels like a movie trailer. Look, for what they're trying to accomplish, I will say it's a good ad. I think it's well produced. If I have to give it a thumbs up, I guess I would give it a thumbs up for what they're trying to accomplish. But
how about that message of how about the message of tying her to Biden
Right. But here's what I'll say, like this first of all, the like metadata thing that they're like latched onto, I need to like know a little bit more about that and like website page creation, because I've seen some people say like they are over their skis on talking about like it has been literally copy pasted from the Biden website. My question though is, can you have this message that she is San Francisco liberal too far to the left, and also she is Joe Biden? Like, do those messages actually work together? Maybe for the base, do they work together for undecided
Well,
voters?
but that one's
Is it a
but that
pick
one's
and
basically
choose?
saying. But to me, that message of that one is Biden Harris have a failed record, and she's part of it, and that's the thing that they've really failed to do. It's not, to me, it's not overly focused on Biden. It's a melange that's, to me, seems. Again,
So
it's not an ad;
yeah.
it's a messaging. But if they're trying to execute that, seems to me fairly effective. Do you agree or not? If that's their goal,
No, I think so. If they're
tired.
trying to tie them together, that I mean, like words connected, like repeating phrases, even though they're like anodyne phrases that are like, our economy is recovering.
Yeah.
I get what they're
Yeah.
doing.
All right, Sean, thumbs up, thumbs down, and why?
Thumbs up. Look, let's remember, what is the ultimate goal here? It's to persuade the people who are still undecided, not to assuage your base. I think that hit the two key messages: a lack of policy or cribbed policy on her point, and secondly, continues to tie her to Biden. Excellent job on imagery and sound. The one thing that I remind people, especially in the chat, is that there are times when we fight over, and Tim brought this up, the metadata on whether or not it was cribbed or not. I hate to be crass. This is politics. It's not like the perception matters. What you're selling matters, right? We talk about this all the time, that I can get frustrated about her tactics sometimes, but if they're effective, give them credit, right? I mean, this is not this is what this comes down to, especially in these last 50 days. Are you getting people to move over to your side or not? There's times when I literally get, lose my stack about what the Harris campaign is able to get away with. But as a practitioner of this, I will applaud it and saying I'd get away with that too. And I think in the case of Trump, if you're arguing over whether or not this data point was true or not, you're missing the point. Is it effective as an ad to get people up? And I think it is.
All right. I want to move on to one more piece of video, and I got to set it up. It's a little complicated. If you haven't read the New York Times story, there's a shadowy group with ties to Republicans, including some from the Trump sphere, that have run ads on YouTube targeted at Muslim American and Arab American voters in Michigan. The ads, you'll see, seem like they're pro-Harris ads, but the obvious intent, according to the New York Times, I've not matched their reporting, but you'll see the ad, decide for yourself. The obvious intent, given where they're targeted, is to create a backlash against Doug Emhoff for being Jewish and suggest that these voters should not vote for the Democratic ticket because Doug Emhoff is Jewish. This is a practice. Sean talked about sort of hardball politics. This is a practice that both parties engage in. And as everybody knows, the Democrats, for a couple cycles, have done this very aggressively, putting on bogusly, positioned ads to try to nominate the most MAGA candidates possible. So Democrats don't have clean hands on this concept of running bogus ads. But this one is going to strike a chord, and justifiably so. Let's play the video, and then you two can explain and defend your profession.
Vice President Harris. Kamala Harris is a strong leader for these difficult times. Tough on Hamas terrorists who murdered innocent Jews. She's standing up for what's right. This November, let's make history. Together, we will put a real pro-Israel president in the White House. And joining Kamala will be her husband and top advisor, Doug Emhoff, who would be the first Jewish presidential spouse ever. Only in America. Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff, making history, standing up for what's right, supporting Israel.
All right, that's not the one with Doug Emhoff. Do we have the one with Doug Emhoff or not? If we don't, so it's the same idea, right? We do. Okay, let's play it. Let's play it because I want everybody to see the imagery of this one.
Kamala Harris is a strong leader for these difficult times. Tough on Hamas terrorists who murdered innocent Jews. She's standing up for what's right. This November, let's make history. Together, we will put a real pro-Israel president in the White House. And joining Kamala will be her husband and top advisor, Doug Emhoff, who would be the first Jewish presidential spouse ever. Only in America. Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff, making history, standing up for what's right, supporting Israel.
There's another video, and if they're obviously just A/B testing them all. There's another video that's described by the New York Times this way. We weren't able to find it, but described by this way. Doug Emhoff in various images, wearing a yarmulke, visiting Oscar Schindler's factory, lighting Hanukkah candles with Ms. Harris. So obviously, it appears, I shouldn't say obviously, these are not straightforward ads. These are clever ads. These are attempting to whip this up. So my first question, and the people responsible for it won't respond to the New York Times. So my first question, before we get to the morality of this and how you political types are willing to do anything to win, trying to break your poker faces here, is why not just, Tim, why not just make a straightforward video that says Kamala Harris and her husband, or leave him out of it? Just Kamala Harris is really pro-Israel, and here she is celebrating the Israelis. And if you support, the Palestinians, don't vote for Kamala Harris. Why not just do it directly?
Because they're doing this message. They're coming at this issue in a totally disingenuous way, and it is like.
But why is that more? But why? I agree with you. But why is that more effective?
Well, look, because
why do they think it's more?
Because you try to avoid the people who are running the ads are trying to avoid some of the blowback on it, right? We didn't see the Doug Emhoff ad, but if that ad to me sounds like the most, couched as pro-Israel, but actually anti-Semitic in its presentation and what effect they are trying to achieve results. So like A, you're trying to not be responsible for it ultimately. B, you're trying to make sure that the campaign is not responsible for it because they could face blowback. Case in point, a New York Times story, right? That is going to.
I understand, but I understand laundering it through an outside group, and I'm not saying the campaign knows about it necessarily. What I'm asking you is why do they think it's more? I'm just asking about craft here. Why does a political strategist say, I got an ad budget and I want to target this group of voters and convince them that if they don't like Kamala Harris's policy on Israel, they should vote for Donald Trump? Why not say Trump is balanced, Harris is too pro-Israel, and don't vote for her, or not even mention Trump? Just a negative ad against Harris saying she's too pro-Israel. Why do a fake positive ad? Why is that more effective?
Right. Well, like one, you don't have to defend it, right? So there is nothing. You as the campaign do not have to spend any time defending.
Now, Tim, I got to stop you. You're not focused. Tim, you're not focusing on what I'm asking you. I'm not asking about the. All right, Sean, why is this more effective? Why is it more effective to run a fake indirect ad rather than just saying Kamala Harris is pro-Israel because they want to get the Jew in there is one reason.
The viewer watching that thinks it's a Kamala Harris ad. I mean, it has the opposite effect. It's not a negative ad. It doesn't come across as mean or whatever.
But why is that more effective?
Because it actually gets the folks if you are a Michigan voter that is pro-Hamas or Arab or whatever, you start thinking, wow, that she's behind this. You don't know who it is, and you think she's out there.
I'm going to try one more time. They're not going to know who's behind it. These aren't on TV. They're unregulated, as compared to a TV ad. They're running them on YouTube, targeting Arab American and Muslim American voters. Why is it more effective? I'll answer my own question. One reason it's more effective is because you'd be hard pressed to run a straightforward ad saying, and by the way, her husband's a Jew who wears a yarmulke and lights a menorah. This way they can launder that through, right? That's the reason, right? Because they think putting him in is more effective than simply saying she's too pro-Israel, right? Sure. Okay, so what's the morality? If you guys are sitting in a room in a campaign and you're a consultant to that group, whether it's a Democrat group or a Republican group, and somebody says, hey, I got an idea. Let's do an ad pretending it's a pro-Harris ad, and let's put her Jewish husband in wearing a yarmulke. Is there any political consultant you guys know, including you two, who would say, that's a bridge too far for me, I can't be part of that? Or no, anything's fair to try to win this race?
I think you could say, I think you reasonably could say it's a bridge too far. I think it is a bridge too far in the way that the imagery is presented in this ad. Tactically, like you said, Democrats have done this before, where you run an ad that is, claiming it is not. It uses the same mechanism to try to get folks to understand, Donald Trump actually is super.
I take the fall. I didn't set this up well enough. We got to get to people's questions. I just want to ask you both again. Is in the world of Republican and Democrat consultants, is that the kind of thing that you would walk out of the room in and say, I can't be party of this? Yes or no? Either Sean, the specific example for you, or Tim, whatever the analog is. Yes or no?
I not having seen the ad, I don't want to say unequivocally, but I think that there is very little that's all out of bounds these days. If it's not, you are not saying that he is a bad person from what you described. You're just showing imagery, and the subtext is trying to get people to do that. So
you wouldn't walk out of the room and say, I can't be part of this. Again, I'm describing to you what's in the video. He's wearing a yarmulke. He's wearing a yarmulke. He's lighting a menorah.
I'm just trying to make sure when this tape gets played back in 12 years, knowing what you have described, I would not walk out of the room at that point.
Okay. All right, Tim, would you walk out of the room for the analog of that?
With what you described, yes. Tactically, you have to show me the content of the video. If this was like another group,
let's look for the video so these two cowards don't have the ability to dodge it. I say that with affection and the presumption of grace. All right, thank you both. I apologize to everybody. I took too long on that. I screwed it up, but we didn't have the right video. That was part of my problem. Let's go to Pennsylvania. Undecided voter Nancy Glenn. Nancy, are you still undecided?
Well, you know what? I'm more undecided. I wasn't undecided before, but now I'm not undecided.
You weren't undecided? I misremember. You were for Harris.
I was for Harris. I have to say
right,
that at the debate, I thought Trump raised a couple of good issues amongst all of his crazy that were kind of thought-provoking to me.
So, Nancy, what you're saying is, and I apologize for mischaracterizing where you were. What you're saying is you went into the debate pro-Harris, and after watching the debate now, you think Trump looks like potentially a choice? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't go that far.
Wouldn't go that far.
But Harris.
Did Harris win the debate? Did Harris win the debate and Trump had some good moments, or you thought Trump won the debate?
Oh gosh, no. Harris won the debate. But you know what? I'm not the one lose person. I don't really think that's the point of them. Yeah. I want to find things out about those people.
Yeah. Good. What did you find out about Kamala Harris in the debate? Nancy, I'm sorry. What did you find out about Kamala Harris in the debate that you didn't know before?
I kind of liked how she held herself. I wasn't sure what she was going to do there. She didn't really give me a lot of information, but I thought the little bit that she did in a, she addressed some things that I thought needed to be addressed. The Israel thing, because I'm not, well, I don't want to even get into that.
All right. Nancy, I'm sorry. Ask your original question. I don't want to interrupt them more.
I was going to comment about your question to Tim and Sean. I think the problem with that ad is it goes to the hind-brain, and that's wrong. I think that's the problem with that ad, or whatever that was about Doug Emhoff. That's Nancy, a hind-brain.
Behind-brain.
You know, the little bit in the back of your mind that you don't really let it come out because you know it's not a good thought and you know it's not a good thing to think. Excuse me, but I think that's what that goes to, which is kind of low.
Yes, I hear you. Nancy. All right, Tim or Sean, questions for Nancy? Or we'll move on.
What I am curious, Nancy. What is there a point or an argument that Trump made during the debate that you were like, oh, I didn't expect him to make that, or I didn't expect to find that persuasive?
Yes, there were two of them, and I need to take the time to research them a little bit more. My husband did some preliminary. One of the ones that he brought out, excuse me, I'm so sorry, is the money that Iran had or didn't have before. I thought that was an interesting comment. Mm-hmm. And what was the other thing that he said? The Afghanistan thing. I kind of remember that he didn't have a plan, although he says he had a plan that he passed on to Biden. So I don't know about that. It's so hard for the regular person to just, step into this and try to make a fair assessment of what's going on here. And I just have such a problem with the way the Biden administration has portrayed their economics. They're so epically failing that I was listening to the interview with the Springfield mayor. I can't remember where I saw that. Oh, it was on News Nation. And he was saying, he referenced several things that were happening in his community, trying to make Springfield, feel like a better place to the world after, eating the dogs. And I would bet that if you went back and listened to that interview and noticed the things or noted the things that he brought up as things that were good happening in Springfield, most of them were the result of the Build Back Better bill. I think that we're
Nancy,
just
thank
not
you.
acknowledging that.
Yep.
Hey, Nancy,
Thank you
quick
for coming
question.
in, Nancy.
Where
Yeah,
did you
go
watch
ahead.
the debate and how long? Did you watch it all the way through?
Oh, of course, yeah.
And where did you watch it? I mean, like
I
what?
watched it on News Nation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
welcome.
Nancy is what we call here in America a high information voter. Nancy, thank you for coming. Now, Katie, you dropped your hand, but I'm desperate to bring you in because we haven't heard from you in so long. Can I unmute you? Even though you dropped your hand. All right, everybody, meet Katie Reeves, one of our favorites. Katie, for those who don't know, tell them where you are and who you're supporting.
I live in Milwaukee and I'm supporting Trump.
Okay. Thank you for joining. Katie is the conscience of America, at least of Red America. Katie, what's on your mind? Question, comment, whatever you'd like. The floor is yours. I'll warn our affiliates, we are going to run a little bit over. I already know that. Go ahead, Katie.
Well, I dropped my hand because my question is more forward thinking and I wasn't sure it was quite as relevant. So I had a two-part question. The first part is for Sean. Looking at all the never Trumpers that are out there, Republican never Trumpers, Democrats that I think are disenchanted or independents disenchanted with the Democratic policies. Like I have a son in Chicago who votes Democrat, but sees the open border policy and the sanctuary city policy and the effect that it has on the city. I have Jewish friends that are very disenchanted with the way they've handled all of that. Where do you see the Republican Party 4 years from now, win or lose? Where do you see the Republican Party being in 4 years? And do you think we can pull some of these people in?
I think it's a great question. I think if you actually go back and look at history, trying to predict where a party's going to be in 4 years is almost impossible because I think it'll depend on whether he wins or loses and the circumstances that sort of affect the presidency. I mean, you look at like a George Bush and what 9/11 did and security and terrorism, they really shape those things. You look at the evolution of healthcare and how it was a big issue for a while. I mean, I hate to tell you this. I can't answer the question because I don't know. You have to tell me who wins and who loses and what major event happens that might shape that. I mean, there's so many things that have happened in the last few years that have shaped. I mean, the rise of Trump in himself has been something that I don't think anybody could have predicted. So I wish I could answer that better for you. I just can't.
Okay, thanks. Tim, I have a follow-up question for you. With after 2016, I think that caught so many people off guard that Trump was elected, and I don't think that the Democratic Party really figured it out. I don't think mainstream media figured it out. And if you fast forward to 2020, it was incredibly close race. Yet Biden seemed to go farther left than he implied he would. You look at the open borders, you look at student loan forgiveness. If it is as close a race as we think it will be, and if Harris wins, how do you think she will govern? Do you think she will take that into account? And if she doesn't, do you think we will see a continuation of this Trump movement where there's part of the country that's just so frustrated?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit of like two questions embedded there. One, I think, is like the question that you asked to Sean, which is, does the Republican Party sustain itself in the way that it does now? And I think the most rose colored glasses take from Democrats has been there's like this last dying gasp of this Trump coalition that's happening in 2020 and in 2024, and there's going to be some reformation in the Republican Party if he loses. I don't know that that's the case. To Sean's point, I think that they've shown like a path forward with this type of Trumpist type politics. For Democrats, for Harris, I mean, I do think for all of the attacks, right, for the ad that we saw this morning that she's like dangerously liberal, I don't think that the Biden administration or Harris govern tacking too far to the left. Are there people who are in the progressive Democratic coalition who are going to get some of their policy, arguments heard? Student loan policy, yes. But like, for example, on climate change, where they want to say everything's like Green New Deal, the big piece of legislation there was Inflation Reduction Act, much more inside the mainstream funding of like climate finance organizations and EVs and decarbonizing school buses, very wonky stuff. So pulling out of the like weeds there, I think she'll govern from the center. I don't think it is a shtick to say, I will do this for the whole country. I will be more moderate. I will be in the middle. I think that's how she would approach it. I think she has to.
I think it also depends on what happens on the Hill. I mean, there's a degree of reality. So a lot of this again gets back to those outside existential questions. I mean, does she ever? I think she's going to end up with if she were to win, she'd have a Republican Senate. I think she has probably a Republican House at this point. So my point is, I think that gets back to Tim. I mean, there's a reality of what do you want to get done and what kind of deals are you willing to cut. That doesn't necessarily, if she gets a Democratic Senate and House, she wouldn't govern from the center. There's no way.
Katie, you feeling like Wisconsin is trending Harris or toss up, or how does it feel to you?
I think it depends on where in Wisconsin you are. I think it's going to be like it always is. I think the cities are going to be for Harris, and I think the rural will be for Trump. We have a place up north, and it's, you see Trump flags all the way up there. You go out on the lake, every boat has a Trump flag. Here, it's all Harris signs in the yard. So it depends. I think it's going to be very close.
Do we need to crowdsource you a travel budget so you can go to like Oshkosh and Green Bay and tell us what's going on there?
Well, it's funny. I looked at the map of Wisconsin, like where the different counties went last year, and I was like, how come these little counties are all blue? They're like, like Oshkosh is up. It's every single place there's a university. And that explains that.
All right, Katie, thanks for visiting. Come back regularly. Good to see you. All right. I'm going to take a big roll of the dice and bring Kim in, because we are out of time. But Kim, just tell everybody quickly who doesn't know where you are, who you're supporting, and what's on your mind. If you can do it quick, because we're already over.
Yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm an undecided voter. My question is, as an undecided voter, I would like someone to tell me, should I vote and pick the lesser of two evils? Is it better not to vote because I really don't feel good about either one of them? Or should I vote and write in somebody? Writing in another candidate, does that really matter to either party?
Kim, who'd you vote for?
Because it just feels like the options are not
Kim,
good.
Who'd you vote for in 2016, Kim?
Trump.
And 20?
Biden.
All right.
Where
Kim,
do you live?
I'm going to ask you one more question. Then Sean and Tim are going to take over, and they're going to try to convince you, I think, to vote for their candidate. But did you watch the debate, Kim?
Yes.
And if you were voting just on the performance in the debate, who would you vote for?
If I had to, probably Trump, because I feel Trump was Trump. He is who he is, and he's a known, but that doesn't mean that I necessarily like him.
Yeah. All right. Tim, go ahead. Take over.
All right. Well, knowing that, I should advocate that you don't vote. No, I'm just kidding. No, I really do think, and regardless of who you end up voting for, I think it makes most sense to work backwards and think about, if my vote was a deciding vote or in a margin, if there are a bunch of people like me, don't think about it as like one individual vote, but as a little bit of like a action problem, like a game theory problem of like, if a group of people like me were to vote and swing the election one way, what would I be more happy with the outcome likely being? And so, in that sense, then I would say you are probably making a choice between Trump and Harris and not a third party if you want your vote to have an impact. And look, I would say, keep an open mind. I think we still have a ways to go. And I don't think that we're going to get another debate now. I don't think we're going to see another side by side with the two of them. I've changed my thinking on that. But keep an open mind and see if Harris has any proposals that you find appealing, and think about what it is about Trump that made you shift from him in 2016 to Biden in 2020. That's my soft nudge towards keeping an open mind. But either way, I would say pick one of the two major parties and vote.
Sean.
No, I would just say this: go with your gut. And there's the point that you made just a second ago regarding the debate is this: Donald Trump. If you like that record from 4 years ago, which I think is pretty compelling in terms of security at our border, less chaos overseas, energy independence, lower rates, for all the scare tactics that the Dems have about these things that he's going to do, if he did something over 4 years substantively as president that concerns you, that's one thing. But look at his record for 4 years, look at the results, and say, do you want more of that or do you want more of the last 4 years? That was the one question she got asked out of the gate and couldn't answer. It's an existential question that every politician should be able to answer. Are you better off since I got in office? She can't answer the question. And I think that's very telling. And so I think as much as it might be a struggle for you, go back and say, was I better off 4 years of Donald Trump or the last 4 years of Harris?
Kim, keep in touch. Let us know what you decide. Did you already sign up to be in our focus group on Monday?
I did. Yes, I did.
You did. All right. Looking forward to having you there. Hopefully it works out. Kim, thank you very much. Come back regularly. Keep us posted. And if Sean or Tim bags you your vote for their candidate, they're going to get a finder's fee. So keep that in mind as you make your decision. I apologize again for mishandling that segment. I just didn't set it up well. I apologize to my two colleagues here for being faux critical of them. I appreciate their candor and their grappling with the difficult issue. I am fed up with getting emails criticizing either Tim or Sean. I think they both do an excellent job. I get a lot of praise for you too, but I don't like the ones that are negative. I think you guys are both doing an excellent job on this program, and I'm grateful to you both. I hope you have a good weekend, and I'm going to have more to say next week about all the people who watch, the sliver of people who watch here, not with no presumption of grace, not just towards Tim and Sean, but towards what we're doing here. This show is not anti-Trump. It's not pro-Trump either. It's not anti-Harris or pro-Harris. We're here to try to explore all of America together, and we're grateful to you for joining us for that. Right now, I'm not planning a show this afternoon. If there's big news, we'll come back. We'll let you know. But for now, we're going to give everybody Friday afternoon and evening off. Same with the weekend. Breaking news will be back. And so as of now, the next time we'll convene is Monday morning. You know what that means? 9 a.m. Eastern time. There's somebody's desktop. Monday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time, the morning meeting. Tim Hogan, Sean Spicer. Gentlemen, any final words for the week?
I think
No?
it's going to be a fun 50.
We'll see you on Monday, and we're going to do everything we can on two-way to get a second debate.
Yeah, put the graphic back up for 1 second. If you're watching on YouTube, as thousands of you are, many thousands of you are, you can see if you'd like to be part of the full two-way experience where you get to raise your hand and ask questions like Katie and everybody else, go to twoway.tv and you can sign up and you can get the link to be on the Zoom and join us if you'd like to join that way. Some of you may find that more satisfying. Many people like the YouTube experience for a variety of reasons. But again, if you want to be part of the full two-way interactive experience, go to twoway.tv. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. We'll see you Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, same bad channel. Have a good afternoon, a good weekend. We'll see you soon.